KUAM News Decision 2026 Primary Gubernatorial Forum is made possible from our partners, Docomo Pacific and the Magic of Anthony Reed at Encore Theater, located at Crown Plaza Resort, Guam.
Buenas and Hafa and happy Liberation Day to one and all, and welcome to the Encore Guam Theater in the beautiful Crown Plaza Resort and Spa on lovely Tumon Bay, the home of the Magic of Anthony Reed, and welcome to the second of two gubernatorial forums for Decision 2026. I'm Jason Silence with KUAM, and I'll be your moderator for this evening's events. Ladies and gentlemen, my friends, my family, it is my great privilege to introduce the Democrat teams for our political forum. Please give a warm Hafa welcome first, starting on the left side of our stage, to the very honorable senator from the 38th Guam Legislature, Joe San Agustin. And his running mate, the honorable former Senator Dwayne San Nicolas. Additionally, vying for your vote in this August primary election, our island's honorable Lieutenant Governor, Josh Tenorio. And joining him, his running mate, the honorable Senator Tina Rose Munya-Barnes. And also seeking your endorsement for election to Guam's highest office, the Honorable Senator Therese Terlahi. And her legislative colleague in the 38th Legislature and her running mate, Senator Sabina Perez. Ladies and gentlemen, once more, your candidates. Well, my friends, tonight, as a group and as a community, we will consider the personalities, the plans, the platforms, and the promises that the teams who want to represent us in Adelup have. You are going to hear directly from the candidates on the work that they want to do for all of us. But also tonight, to share their concerns, we have several community groups from across our island community who wish to share their concerns with the candidates. Joining us tonight is the Guam Alternative Lifestyle Association, Gala Guam. Thank you for being with us. Also joining us, the Guam Association of Realtors. Our friends from the Guam Bar Association. Our friends from the Guam Chamber of Commerce. The Guam Hotel and Restaurant Association. From the healthcare industry, our friends from the Guam Medical Association. Also from the island's private sector, the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce. Representing those who serves and representing veterans, got your 671. Our friends from the Micronesia Climate Change Alliance. And representing a generation of voters who will head to the polls for the very first time to cast their ballots, our youth ambassadors. And we have 4 of them, 3 of them with us this evening. Well, let's now take an opportunity to hear from our guests, the teams themselves, for an introduction about their campaigns. And as we saw with the spinning of the wheel, each of the teams has 2 minutes to give their opening remarks. And we would like to start with Senators Therese Terlahi and Sabina Perez. You have 2 minutes.
Hafa day, everyone. I'm Therese Terlahi. Most of you know me as your senator for many years and a former speaker. I'm a lawyer. I'm a former educator. I'm a small businesswoman, and I'm a mother. And I'm running to be your next governor because too many people on our island continue to struggle. They're frustrated with slow services, a meth crisis, special interests and corruption and waste, excuses, and a food, utility, transportation, and housing that have become far out of reach for many families. And after these past 8 years, too many of these problems remain, and many people feel things have gotten worse. Unstable health care, growing poverty. And I've spent my life working for truth and justice for the people of Guam, and I intend to continue working hard for you every day as your governor, and to prioritize the full resources of our government to help you, to benefit you and your families. And with Sabina Perez as my lieutenant governor, we will bring the leadership Guam needs and deserves, leadership that is honest, prepared, hardworking, and unafraid to make hard decisions, and determined to use data-driven solutions to improve the quality of life for all.
Hafaday, I'm Sabina Perez, Familia Gozo, and Cabeza. As your senator, I've worked hard to pass legislation for sustainability. And we have worked to pass over 130 laws. Senator Teresa and myself have passed over 130 laws that addresses the cost of living, affordable housing, diversifying our economy, and addressing early childhood education, amongst many things. We believe government should work for the people, and we are here we will not bend to special interest. We're here, we will prioritize your interests and not special interests, and we're asking you to look at our records. Suzumasi.
Thank you very much, Senator. And now, with their 2 minutes, we'd like to hear from Senator Joe San Augustine and his running mate, Dwayne San Nicolas. Gentlemen, you have 2 minutes.
Oh, it's on. Okay, good. Good evening, Jace. I'd like to thank KUAM for holding the forum. I'm Joe Shimizu San Augustine, and with Dwayne San Nicolas as my running mate for Lieutenant Governor, we're looking at change. Change for the better. Not talking about what happened the 8 years, because we're moving forward. We got to be positive. We got to be looking at what we need to do for the people of Guam. I am Joe Shimizu San Augustine. I'm married to Joanne Babalta Charglove. She's in the crowd. We have 12 grandchildren. We have 2 great-grandchildren. I'm retired Army. I'm a former police officer. I'm a former tax investigator, former compliance supervisor. I was on the Board of Education. I was the chairman. I was there for 6 years. I was chairman for 3 years. And you know, people of Guam, we need to understand there are things we need to just change. We need to hold everybody accountable in the government of Guam. And then we move forward from there. We can't keep talking about the past. Everything is forward. We need to stay positive. The people of Guam deserve that. Positive movement will receive positive results. Senator Dwayne.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, family, for being here tonight. I forgot to mention my wife's name last debate or the last forum, so I want to say, babe, here you are. Thank you very much. My wife is Aline San Nicolas. It's the love of my life and supported me throughout this whole thing. You know, when I first ran for office, I asked her, you know, I'm so nervous, and she says, just be yourself. And that's all I've ever been, was just myself. And I thank you so much for, and the people of Guam for actually giving me this opportunity. I never in a million years thought I'd be here and joining Joe, and I'm really here to help improve the lives of our people. Nothing brings me greater joy than to see other people happy, and to work toward that makes me happy. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. And now for their opening remarks, the Lieutenant Governor of Guam and his running mate, Senator Tina Rose Munoz-Barnes.
Thank you so much, Jason. Hafaday. Happy Liberation Day. Over the last 7.5 years, I've been part of a big effort that has overcome the hardships of deficit spending and long-term debt. We've stabilized finances so that we can reinvest in the community. And over the last 7.5 years, I have been leading efforts to build roads, to build bridges to each other, to build youth programs, and to support Guam's brightest days ahead. I believe strongly that the most important job of the governor and the lieutenant governor is to improve the quality of life for the people of Guam, which means addressing affordable housing, making sure that we have accessible healthcare on the island, making sure that people have good employment, and making sure that we make investments in public safety. I have asked Senator Tina Munoz-Barnes, somebody who's committed herself to the underdog, to helping people that couldn't help themselves, to be my partner, and I'm glad to introduce her today.
Hafaday and many of God's blessings to all of us. Josh and I are committed to keeping the spirit of Guam alive, and that means being guided by our culture and our values when serving our people. Whether we are in business, a family, or an entire island, we know in our hearts that we must rely on each other to survive tough times, to marshal our resources and our strength to do the things that we cannot do alone. We are our best when we work together. Si Jusen Bini DC, and thank you.
All right, and thank you, candidates, all 3 teams. Very, very well done. Ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, we'll get to our questions for our candidates, and you will hear why they want to represent us, and more importantly, how they intend to do it. Please stay with us. Our forum continues after this.
The biggest qualities that I think is so necessary for a governor to choose and a lieutenant governor is a teammate, teamwork, loyalty, hardworking. These are all words that describe Tina. She really does have a true passion and a heart and a responsibility for others. There's so many people that are depending on you for their livelihoods, either directly or indirectly. And having somebody that actually cares about people, that doesn't look at them as numbers, that cares and understands the value of hard work, that's where Tina Muñoz-Barnes comes in. That's why she's such an excellent partner for me. Tina has my back and I have her back.
I'm Josh Tenorio.
And I'm Tina, and we approve this message.
When families feel safe, communities grow stronger. Senator Chris Duenas passed the Malik Act to put more officers on our streets and confront the meth crisis hurting too many of our people. He led efforts to expand affordable housing through the additional dwelling unit and advanced nitrate bills. And now he is authoring his second balanced budget that protect essential services while supporting private sector jobs. Steady leadership, real results. Re-elect Chris Duenas. He's focused, balanced, and ready.
I'm Chris Duenas, and I approve this message.
Before business, before public office, before years of community leadership, Tony Ada answered the call to serve. As a young man, he proudly served in the United States Army. He learned discipline, responsibility, and the importance of putting mission and country before self. After returning home, Tony and Annette built a family together, raising children, building the family business, living the same hopes and challenges faced by families across Guam. His commitment to service never ended. For years, Tony Ada has worked to strengthen our island, support our families, and help move Guam forward, always guided by the same values he learned in uniform. Service isn't something Tony Ada did. It's who he has been his entire life. Tony Ada for governor.
I'm Tony Ada. I ask for your vote for governor, so together we can put Guam first. I approve this message.
Fearless.
This is a hot mess.
Bold.
This is the most progress they have seen to the Guam Memorial Hospital in the last 8 years.
Compassionate.
It's time to roll back the business privilege tax.
Determined.
Mr. Byrne, are you part of the governor's fiscal team, yes or no?
Yes.
Have you been aware of these potential federal cuts, yes or no? It's a simple question.
That's the best way to describe Senator Sabrina Salas-Matanani. She has oversight of Veterans Affairs because she wanted to give veterans a greater voice.
And that the systems meant to serve them actually work.
The Guam Memorial Hospital is going through a positive transformation. This is a result of Senator Breen not settling for business as usual.
Are we in a state of emergency? Please stand up. Stand up. I don't run from criticism. I run toward the battle to join the fight.
Re-elect Senator Sabrina Salas-Matanani. Breathe the difference.
I'm Sabrina Salas-Matanani, and I approve this message.
Hafaday, I'm Therese Terlahi.
And I'm Sabina Perez.
We believe that Guam should be a safe, flourishing island with a government that lowers the cost for everyday people, replaces corruption with fair economic opportunity, fights to stop meth, and shelters unhoused children.
Protects our water and investigates the source of contaminants. Our records show our integrity, honesty, and ability to listen and follow through.
We need your help to stand up for what is right. Vote Terlahi Perez.
A vote for us is a vote for Guam.
I am Therese Terlahi, and I approve this message.
Putting a face on a billboard is an easy thing to do. Winning a case in court is the hard part. Right now, Guam is paying the price for a show over substance approach. We're moving that focus from the billboards back to the courtroom. We are not going to continue to waste money on these billboards and off-island litigation that doesn't affect you. We want to hire talent that stays on Guam and is dedicated to Guam. I'm Tom Fisher, and I approve this message.
Housing costs are high everywhere. Rent is higher, home ownership feels farther away, and too many families are asking, can we afford to stay on Guam? But the dream is simple, a place of your own, a home where your children can grow up right here on Guam. Just years ago, Guam wasn't in a position to build. Guam's finances were on the brink, and so we stabilized. We restored fiscal credibility, and we secured the resources to act. Because of that work, hundreds of homes have been built, and hundreds more are on the way, including housing for working and middle-income families. For young families starting out, Housing is about building safe communities and supporting families right here at home. Together, we're building a better Guam for everyone to grow and thrive.
I'm Josh Tenorio.
And I'm Tina, and we approve this message.
All right, here we are, everybody. Welcome back to the second of two discussions featuring the gubernatorial teams that want to serve all of us in Adelup. Now, we started previously with those in the Republican Party of Guam, and of course, tonight we feature the three Democrat teams that want your endorsement. Now, with respect to the questions, here is the format. Each team will be presented with a series of questions in this round about topical issues facing our island. Some of these come from my colleagues in the KUAM newsroom, and several more are from special interest groups that have joined us here tonight to pose those questions in person. Now, we're going to start with the KUAM reporters and those of us who cover island news every day. These questions are from my colleagues. We have a series of 5 of them. So once again, each gubernatorial team has 90 seconds for their response. Let's go ahead and start. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the COVID-19 pandemic, geopolitical instability, and back-to-back super typhoons showed all of us as Guamanians that relying on our island's #1 economic driver of tourism is unsustainable. Over 6 years later, visitor numbers are still below half of pre-pandemic levels, and businesses struggle to stay afloat. The airport is even facing a revenue shortfall due to slow recovery and now needs a more than $17 million taxpayer-funded subsidy despite being a self-sustaining autonomous agency. People want change, not status quo. So the question, and we'll start with Senators Terlahi and Perez, what solution do you have for revitalizing the economy, whether shifting focus to promoting other industries or to stick with tourism? Senators, you have 90 seconds.
Thank you, Jason. I think we need to do both. We're going to have to repivot our tourism industry to make sure that we are competitive as much as possible immediately, but for sure in the long run. We have to make a plan, and we have to study the market based on data and make some measurable improvements to our destination, especially our safety and our cleanliness and our flooding and very basics, transportation. And when we make those changes, we can, at the same time, be studying a long-term shift in tourism to make Guam competitive. We must also do other industries as well, which is to take advantage of Guam's unique status and let that work for us, including tariff-free entry of materials and to use those and pivot to those industries that we have begun to invest in already on Guam, to incentivize these businesses with what we have right now, a very good tax incentive program, and with resources that are unique here to Guam.
And if I could just add that tourism cannot be treated as a responsibility of GVB alone, and tourism starts here at home. And when we protect our environment and our culture, maintain public spaces, and create opportunities for our people, we are strengthening Guam as a visitor destination. Masi.
Thank you, Senator. Gentlemen on the left side of the stage, 90 seconds to you. Revitalizing the economy. Senator, what plans have you?
Revitalizing the economy. Number one, as we want to talk about tourism, we need to clean up Guam. That's number one. I've traveled to the mainland with the wife. We visit different states. And the biggest thing that turns off anybody, even the residents, people of Guam, when they drive around, the first thing is that, I want to go to the beach, but then they find out that the beach is closed, it's dirty, the bathroom. No. Let's turn it around. Now let's clean it all up. If it's good for people, it'll be good for the tourism. The people of Guam need to understand that we need to work the team. Our slogan is, together we can. And I know we can do this, and just think positive. Then you got the military that are here. And my running mate said that let's take advantage of the military. Let's offer them the opportunity to come off the gate, come out to the community, go to the hotels, go to the restaurants, get involved. And then we diversify by looking at the different markets that does exist, and we move from there and invite them to Guam. And let's incentivize the program, maybe a different QC, and we move on from there. Senator Dwayne?
The last forum, we spoke about the Unified Tourism Command, where Joe and I will head up the tourism recovery and look at many ways that we can bring the tourists back. That's we promised to work together to that end. Thank you.
All right, gentlemen. To the center of the stage now with a minute and a half. LT, your thoughts on revitalizing the economy here on Guam?
I think the mission is building resiliency on all of the economies. So we have tourism. The data shows that the Japanese economy is in trouble, but it also shows that there are new emerging markets throughout Southeast Asia where wealth is being built. So investing in Guam tourism means that investing in the product that we have and continuing the work that we have with building roads, providing more recreational facilities, and making sure we have a good business environment. We have just introduced additive manufacturing as a new industry on Guam, connected to the military industry. And on top of that, we know that we can repair ships. We had a vibrant ship repair facility. That's the direction we go to now that we have yet a bigger responsibility with national security. And because this burden is on the people of Guam, we have to shift the burden into positive things for the people, which means employment, which is why Senator Tina, who in her career has introduced lots of legislation to introduce new industry.
When I was the oversight chair of the tourism, we made it a point to look at all the opportunities, and we left no stone unturned. We need to look at what industries we have today, from the cruise ships to the MICE markets, the B2B, sports tourism, ecotourism, and film industry, and so much others that exist today. So whatever we need to bring our community together to promote our island to the rest of the world.
Thank you, Senator. Well done, everybody. All right, topic number 2. As super typhoons Bavi and Sunlaku posed serious back-to-back threats to our community this year, many of our neighbors were reminded that typhoon season is far from over. While the island has made progress since Super Typhoon Mawar, concerns remain about the resilience of our power grid, aging infrastructure, and disaster preparedness, especially as several villages have experienced rolling outages and load shedding over the weekend. Let's start on the left side of the stage with the two gentlemen. What specific action will your administration take to harden our infrastructure before the next natural disaster strikes? Senator, 90 seconds, please.
Well, you know, Jason, one of the biggest things that I've noticed is that everybody talks about there's planning for every storm. But is there real planning, or is there any exercise? Being a retired Army, we believe in exercising. Do tabletop exercise, have real exercises. Go out there, test the system. Make sure the system is in fact working. Because let's face it, we had one storm and then we had another storm, Pavi. Really? And it takes a week to turn on the power? Come on. We just did one. We should have been ready for it. And then even the water. I mean, just, gosh, it was all over the newspaper. No more power outages or rationing. Then all of a sudden, they send out a notice they're doing rationing. Come on. Let's get this right, folks. And then let's get the Office of Civil Defense to get involved and make some rule changes and start preparing the people of Guam for what's coming.
Preparedness is our big positives with us, because we were both in the military, and always to always be prepared is what we do best. And so, as your leaders, we're going to make sure that the agencies are doing what they need to do to stay prepared and always deliver the services that the people deserve. Thank you.
All right. Well, Mr. Lieutenant Governor, expanding infrastructure, hardening infrastructure, making infrastructure robust, how do you see?
Here's the thing. Even though we do have the best infrastructure out of all the islands, we live in one of the most isolated places in the world, and it costs money. In September, our government, for the first time, is engaging with federal partners in a pre-economic adjustment committee. The top priority is $3 billion so we can get the transmission lines underground. Now, what I say is that we utilize this burden placed on our shoulders with the military expansion and show them that a resilient infrastructure for the entire island not only benefits the military's mission, it is required for the U.S. citizens that are living here in this territory. Putting transmission lines underground is going to be transformative, and it shouldn't be on the backs of the ratepayers. It should be a burden that is shared by Uncle Sam, because they are putting extraordinary burdens on our people. And I think that is the big thing that we need to address with power. And of course, with water and wastewater. The current Trump administration and the Republicans in power are not for a clean environment. Everything they do is to endanger our lives and our people. As Democrats, all of us here on this stage, and whoever is governor, we take the oath to protect our waters and to make sure that we stand for the people of Guam and make sure that we have good, resilient, reliable infrastructure. Thank you.
Working with preparedness, tabletop exercises, working closely with our mayors, and making sure that the awareness translates into the community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Madam Senator, your thoughts on infrastructure on Guam under your administration?
Yes, I think so many people after the typhoon were perplexed why our water, some of the pumps were just not working. They did not have enough power, they did not have generators, and so the water return was very delayed. And I think we really need to focus on that, because a lot of people will tell you they can live without power, but they will not live without water. It's very critical for our Manamco and everyone. But I agree with the focus to put in the long-term planning to put the infrastructure underground and to also utilize the resources of the military to assist us in doing that. And I think that should be a priority. And I think we have done that a little bit towards our hospital and other critical services, and that we just need to continue to move in that direction.
Yeah, and I can also add that we're sitting on this $500 million grant, the CDBG-DR grant, which is there to help strengthen or rebuild homes that are typhoon resistant. And that's a 6-year cycle. It needs to be executed very expeditiously, and that would help our community. I think one of the other thoughts was providing economic stimulus to our people so they can afford purchases of many of these the generators, should the generators not work. And I think that is critical when we have excess funds. I think that is something that we should think about. Students Masi.
All right, candidates, well done. Okay, we've talked about the economy thus far. We've talked about infrastructure. Let's now talk about the hospital. A topic of great debate has been whether to continue funding the Guam Memorial Hospital's renovation projects or to move forward with the building of a new medical facility. While the issue has split our community, the consensus is that eventually Guam will need a new modern hospital and we will need to build it. So the question is, and we'll start with the LT, once a new hospital is built, what does your team think should become of the existing GMH building? Will it continue to operate as a secondary public hospital? Will the space be converted into office space for other line agencies, or should it be demolished?
Well, there are probably portions of the building that need to be demolished, but the ones that can be recovered can be repurposed for areas that are in need. We know that in Guam there are limited resources and limited facilities to deal with assisted living. We have a large number of people that require assisted living and more medical care, all ages. And so I would say that's one area that we could repurpose portions of the facility. But the big thing is, we need to act now. We can and we must reinvest and repair the hospital, the current one. That's what's happening right now. But we have to get the ground turned and moving on building the new hospital. And we already have land that is already identified. The second infrastructure funding that we're going after is getting $400 million in federal assistance so that we can build the hospital and not have that to be on the backs of the people of Guam. Try and reduce the cost of healthcare. And reducing the cost of healthcare means that we have to be able to provide services on island. A new hospital with new technology is going to let our people be able to have care here rather than for them having to resort to having fundraisers, so they have to go long places and be displaced. Healthcare is so critical, and if our economy is going to grow and people stay here, the action is now, and we need action. Our administration and our new administration is about action. Thank you very much.
Madam Senator, your thoughts on what to do with the existing GMH facility?
We definitely need to continue the improvements. I think, going through the budget cycle, we see improvements. With the help of GPA, they've been able to upgrade their panels, and that improvement still needs to happen. While obviously we need to build a new hospital, but we cannot give up on the current hospital, which we rely on.
I think the building can also be, because it's being renovated and upgraded for a maternal child health facility, I think that is going to be useful as repurposed for other medical purposes because it's being built that way right now. And because we have focused our infrastructure to be very resilient in that area, and it's there that we can grow the medical industry there as well.
Thank you very much, Senator. Senator San Augustine and Senator San Nicolas, your thoughts on what to do with the existing GMH facility?
Well, number one, on the existing GMH, I was the author of the bill that to provide funding to build a new hospital. But part of that bill or that law now is to make sure that if you start to build, if you go to the GITA and you go to get a bond, you have to make sure the current hospital is fully maintained. So, and I'm happy to hear tonight that they're after federal money for 400 million. Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot of money. You look at the public law that exists. It was to be able to get up to 700 million. Okay, you're going to get 400. Okay, we're going to get less on the backs of the people. But we need to remember that it's going to take 5 to maybe as much as at the max 7 years to build a new hospital. So we got to make sure our current hospital is up to date, everything is fixed, and when the time comes, then we'll determine then what we want to do with the building. Because to say, let's turn it to this and that, hey, you're shooting too far in the future. Let's be realistic. By that time, there may be a different purpose we need to pursue.
I think one of the things is you repurpose that it serves the public very well. One of my concerns with medical care is that it's affordability. At GMH, you go there, get seen, it takes a couple $1,000s. Somewhere else, $100, you get an X-ray and everything, and a diagnosis, and your medicines for less than $200. Affordability is important to us, so that's why when we're thinking about the hospital, we have to make sure that it's affordable. Thank you.
All right, so I know in the opening statement several of you mentioned crime, so that is the 4th of our 5th topics right now. Drug-related crime affects nearly every village, yet residents often say they don't see lasting results after major drug busts. Most recently over the weekend, 4 men were arrested in connection to the murder of a 72-year-old man during a home invasion that has been tied to the use of meth. The question, and we'll start with Senator Terlahi. Beyond promising to get tough on crime, what concrete steps would your administration take to reduce repeat offenders, stop the flow of meth into our island, and hold agencies accountable for measurable progress?
Thank you. We know that the AG has called for a 100% inspection at the port, and the response has been that that's not feasible. But we do believe that there are feasible ways to stop the meth from coming through the ports, and that is to ensure that we have seals on the containers as they are being shipped and that no one's able to open that or authorize the opening of that except for customs or until they have cleared customs. Right now we have cases where not just the shipping seals, but the customs seals, after customs decides they must seal these certain ones, they have been broken without their consent. And so this is a growing problem, and we have passed part of the legislation to mandate those customs seals and to increase the penalties, to criminalize violations as well. And so we believe that's a huge part of it. I think we have done a lot in the legislature to increase services for those who are offenders, to reduce the recidivism and to stop them from repeating. And but we really do have to use all the resources of our government to focus on this meth crisis. It is impacting families, and the case that you described is very tragic, horrifying, and every family is living not just with the impacts of the drug abuse, but the impacts of the crime that has exacerbated, and is exacerbating our foster situation with 600 children now. So we must address it.
Thank you, Senator Sijasmasi. Gentlemen, not just stopping the drug importation in here, but holding the agencies accountable that are enforcing that. What do you plan to do? 90 seconds, please.
As you know, I was a former customs officer, customs supervisor, and also a school counselor. So I understood the effects, not only the importation of methamphetamines and how it's such a tragedy because it affects not only the person taking meth, but it also affects the families. I've had to deal with children who are children of meth addicts and see them go through public education, and it's just a tragedy. It's terrible. and it destroys families. And every one of us should feel that it's all of us. We have to. It's all encompassing. I know what it takes to do the right interdiction in customs because I was there, but I also want to bring out the compassion to look at your brethren and get them the kind of help that they need through counseling or whatever it is to do what you can, because this meth epidemic is such a tragedy, and I feel when others feel what they're going through, I actually feel this, and I think it's very important that we combine those two, interdiction and compassionate recovery, so that way we can be able to get these people off addiction, and so we can move our island forward. It affects all our families and our homes, and it's such a tragedy, and we have to do something. We got to do this together, guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator. LT, Senator, your thoughts, 90 seconds, please.
It's been 35 years since we've been navigating through this epidemic, and so drug interdiction, doing the prevention work in the schools, those are very, very important. And gaining the confidence of federal law enforcement. For the first time ever, we have a large number of Guam Customs officers deputized as U.S. Postal Inspectors to do some very strong interdiction. But like Dwayne said, there's a demand issue. And the long-term thing is investing in the youth. That's why I've been leading the construction of all these gymnasiums and funding youth programs so that we can rescue kids that are at risk, but also expanding drug treatment. We have been pushing resources to work with nonprofits to expand drug treatment programs, and there's still a lot more to go. Next week, we'll be opening a housing that for women in recovery that are going to be reunifying with their children. And so I would say the long-term thing here is the children's programs.
Great. So drug programs to help those families that need rehabilitation. We need counseling. We need services. We need educational awareness. More importantly, we need to come together to help those who are truly affected by this meth epidemic.
All right, thank you very much, teams. Well done. All right, and our fifth and final topic, and we'll start with the gentleman here on the left. In Washington, gentlemen, legislation was recently introduced ending birthright citizenship in United States territories. If passed, this would strip birthright citizenship for those born after January 2027, unless at least one parent is a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident. The bill is just one of many examples where we see what it means to be second class. Question for you, Senator San Augustine and Senator San Nicolas. What concrete proactive steps will your administration take to ensure Guam not just has a seat at the table, but has a voice that is listened to before federal laws or decisions affecting us are made? 90 seconds, please, sir.
Well, number one, Jason, is we got to fortify our Team Guam setup. The Guam legislature, the mayors, the gubernatorial, the administration, and the delegate. And then at the same time, reach out to our people that are living in the mainland. Because I'll tell you what, they got a legal House of Representatives, a Senate. They can communicate to their federal representatives to promote us, to protect us from whatever shenanigans they're trying to do. Because we're all U.S. citizens in Guam. When you're born on Guam, you're a U.S. citizen. And as they keep on pushing that, people are standing up all over the world, and they're not going to tolerate any kind of movement such as that.
Do I still have time? America's the land of the free, home of the brave. I feel that through and through. It goes against this new introduction to this goes against the very nature of our country. Bring me all those who yearn to breathe free. And doing that is un-American, and I think that's a tragedy. I think they should reconsider that. This is America, and everybody born here. I understand that there's some people who take advantage of that, but America is America. You can go anywhere in the world. Go to China, you won't be a Chinese. You're going to go to France, and you won't be a French. But anybody from around the world, wherever you are, and you yearn to breathe free, you can go to America and be an American.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
All right, LT, place at the table and then making sure Uncle Sam hears our voice.
Well, receiving that on the eve of liberation is, not only is it insulting, it should be condemned. And I call the Republican Party, the Republican elected officials to condemn the legislation. That federal legislation needs to be fought. And it points to the political status issue that we have. It has been a long-standing thing. The concrete proposal for us is we need to reactivate a federal territorial commission, similar to what the Commission on Self-Determination addressed during the Commonwealth times, but its scope was wider. And just like Joe said, Team Guam approach is very, very necessary. But I would say that this is why elections matter. And the election for Guam delegate is going to be very important because no matter who is elected, they're the ones that have access to fight this. And I hope Jimmy Moylan fights that in that Republican caucus because he owes that to the people of Guam.
I believe that this is a violation of our constitutional freedom. And I want to say that we're advocating and asking our diaspora to help us out, our congressmen and others that support our island of Guam. We were blessed to be free, and that right should not be taken away from us. We will continue to advocate, and that's why I'm also a part of the Underrepresented Nations Peoples Organization, UNPO. We cannot stop.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, LT. All right, Madam Senators, 90 seconds, kind of difficult to explain the full range of federal relations and everything, but Senator, what do you think?
Well, I agree that that's a very serious issue and that all of what has been suggested should be incorporated. It's really just one of the examples of us needing a seat at the table because of the impacts that the United States is proposing for us and for our people. And these are very serious, and I believe that when we do have a seat at the table, that we must have our full, strongest capacity in there to negotiate, to not negotiate when necessary, and to make sure that we are always transparent about what we are doing in those rooms and making sure that we are representing the people of Guam in the strongest way possible, the most competent way possible, and the most effective way possible. And it's not a time to exclude people or to think that, yeah, any idea shouldn't be on the table. I think this is one of those areas where we must unite in our community, just like with deep sea mining. We have to unite against those things, and we have to work together. We have to work very hard, and we have to work strategically, but we must be in some things uncompromising.
I'd just like to add that we need to be at the table with the decision makers. Oftentimes we are talking to people lower in the hierarchy, and we need to get to the ones that are making those decisions, even as high up as the presidency. Again, this is really critical that we have a voice.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Very well done with those responses. Stay with us, everybody, because when we come back, our community gets direct FaceTime with the gubernatorial teams as our interactions begin with these special interest groups. That is coming up right after this. Please stay tuned.
When I look at Guam, I see the foundation we're building for the next generation. That's why, as your senator, I've worked to get new and emerging industries off the ground. These include laws that allow for small enterprises like cottage businesses, home kitchen catering, medicinal cannabis, bed and breakfast, all the way to industrial scale businesses such as cruise liners, transshipment, Guam-based filmmaking, and more to take root here. All of these efforts are to nurture the God-given talent of our people, create jobs, and by extension, expand our tax base in order to provide valuable government services. I'm Tina Rose Muñoz Barnes, and I've spent my life building for Guam, and I'm ready to lead our next chapter. Let's keep building together.
I'm Josh Tenorio.
And I'm Tina, and we approve this message.
When families feel safe, communities grow stronger. Senator Chris Duenas passed the Malig Act to put more officers on our streets and confront the meth crisis hurting too many of our people. He led efforts to expand affordable housing through the additional dwelling unit and advanced nitrate bills. And now he is authoring his second balanced budget that protect essential services while supporting private sector jobs. Steady leadership, real results. Re-elect Chris Duenas. He's focused, balanced, and ready.
I'm Chris Duenas, and I approve this message.
Tony and I got married at an early age, and back then, we didn't have much. But from the very beginning, Tony was determined to create a better future for our family. Shortly after we were married, Tony joined the Army, and we moved to our first duty station. at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Those weren't always easy years, but they taught us the importance of sacrifice, faith, and commitment. What I've always admired about my husband is that he's the same person at home that people see in the public. He's honest, he's humble, and he genuinely cares about people. He's a devoted husband, a loving father, and a proud grandfather. Tony and I have been together for 43 years, and I've been blessed to stand beside him through every chapter of our lives. I'm Annette Umpinko Ada, and I humbly ask for your support and vote for my husband, Tony Ada, for Governor of Guam.
I'm Tony Ada, and I approve this message. Together, we'll put Guam first.
For decades, Ralph Scambalori dedicated his life to protecting Guam. As chief of Guam Customs and Quarantine Agency, he helped stop illegal drugs before they reached our streets and our families. Today, Guam faces one of the greatest drug crises in history. That's why Ralphie is stepping forward once again to serve as your senator, bringing the experience, integrity, and commitment to keep our communities safe.
Afade, I'm Rafael Scambalori, but please call me Ralphie. I respectfully ask for your vote, and I approve this message. Viva Guam.
When families feel safe, communities grow stronger. Senator Chris Duenas passed the Malig Act to put more officers on our streets and confront the meth crisis hurting too many of our people. He led efforts to expand affordable housing through the additional dwelling unit and advanced nitrate bills. And now he is authoring his second balanced budget that protect essential services while supporting private sector jobs. Steady leadership, real results. Re-elect Chris Duenas. He's focused, balanced, and ready.
I'm Chris Duenas, and I approve this message.
The people of Vermont needs to know that the Governor and Lieutenant Governor, this administration helped us a lot.
And I'm sure Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio and Senator Tina Barnes will continue what they've done for our village. From our roads to our new playgrounds that have been installed in our village.
I have the gym and the baseball field. I remove all those houses that I'm going to show the people of Vermont. That's why I'm supporting them.
This administration has delivered to Hoggett, and I ask you guys to humbly ask your families to please vote for Josh and Tina all the way to Adelup. Viva Josh and Tina!
I'm Josh Tenorio.
And I'm Tina, and we approve this message.
Afade once more, everybody, and welcome back to the beautiful Crown Plaza Resort on Tumon Bay here at the home of the magic of Anthony Reid. This is KUAM's second Gubernatorial Forum featuring the Democrat gubernatorial teams. We have organizations who wish to present questions directly to the two-person candidates, and each of them has 90 seconds to respond. So let's now go to the floor where my colleague Nevaeh Anderson has our first special interest group. Nevaeh, who do you have?
Hafaday, everyone. Our first special interest group is the Guam Alternative Lifestyle Association, also known as GALA, and we have Sharon Kalaman.
Greetings to all the candidates. A question our organization would like to ask is, what concerns have you observed from the LGBTQIA+ community, and in what ways will your administration address them?
And we'll start with Senator Terlahi and Senator Perez.
Jesus Masi, I think some of the concerns that we all share are the health care and access to it, and continued access to programs and funding for nonprofits such as yours that are providing services to our community that the government isn't necessarily covering. And we have a very critical partnership in that way, and we must continue that. And of course, we have some concerns that there is a greater need just overall in our community to make sure that our youth are prepared and they are equipped to, battle suicidal thoughts or tendencies, and that I know that your organization has helped with that, and that we must continue to do that throughout, even at the younger ages now, because that's the evidence that we've been receiving in Guam.
Yeah, and we find that 1 in 5 adolescents have mental health issues. And this is what inspired me to pass Resolution 127 to really spur the Guam Department of Education to create a student wellness task force that would comprise of Guam Behavioral Health, Department of Public Health, student councils, parent-teacher organizations to help develop a wellness approach for
Thank
our
you, Senator.
children. Thank you.
All right, let's hear from Senator Joe San Agustin and Dwayne San Nicolas about Gala's concerns. Gentlemen, you have 90 seconds.
Could you repeat that question one more time?
What concerns have you observed from the LGBTQIA+ community, and in what ways will your administration address them?
Well, I always like to take a compassionate approach to everything. I've been a non-denominational wedding officiant, and one of my greatest pleasures is also to marry same-sex couples. I also dealt with students as a school counselor, and I had one student come up to me, and he was obviously being picked on at school, and I told him to be who you are. Be who you are, because who you are is a gift from God, and celebrate it. And so when we're always going to take a compassionate approach to alternative lifestyles.
Jason, and to the people of Guam, everybody is equal. You treat everybody the same. If we need to take steps to adjust, wherever we need to adjust, then we adjust. But everybody should be treated fairly and equal, because in the eyes of the Lord, He decides who moves on, and we move from there. Thank you.
90 seconds to the LT and to the Senator.
Thank you. Well, first, we always have to fight bigotry wherever it exists, and we have to also make sure that we fight any efforts to change laws that reverse the progress we made with workplace equality and with marriage equality. What the concerns I hear about are suicide, the high rates of suicide in particular for our group, and I also hear a lot about homelessness and not having proper shelter. The third area, I would say, has a lot to do with getting more behavioral health supports and youth supports, which is why I've been really working on expanding youth programs. Having safe spaces is so critical and so important. And empowering nonprofits to be able to get things done faster than government can is one effective approach. But the big thing is really making things a bit more affordable, making sure people have jobs, can attain good paying jobs. And my partner from the legislature, when she's been in the legislature, has been such a big supporter of this.
We are all God's children, and love is unconditional. Our spirit of Guam has to come together as a family to share in the love. We need to support housing, healthcare, counseling, and we need to do this because thank you.
Thank you very much. Well done, everybody. Nevaeh, who's next?
Thank you very much, Sharon. Our next community organization that has a question for candidates is the Guam Association of Realtors, and we have Ms. Babe Respicio. You step up here.
Hafaday, everyone. One of Guam's greatest challenges today is that the cost of housing has certainly outpaced wages. Families are being priced out of home ownership, renters are struggling, and many young professionals are leaving the island. What specific policies will your administration implement to increase housing, reduce housing costs, and improve affordability? And what measurable results should we all expect within the next 4 years?
All right, gentlemen, you're up first. 90 seconds on the topic of housing.
Joe and I always, like I always said, we always take a compassionate approach to things. The one thing that is the most, the most dignified you can ever do for somebody is give them a home. Because, just like a soldier, if you go to battle, what are you fighting for if you have no home? So protecting and building new homes for everybody is going to be a very big thing in our agenda. We want to make sure that I had to struggle to buy my house, to build my house. And just luckily, we were able to get it at a good interest rate. I know the types of things that we're facing, and I believe that if we make them, we find ways to make it affordable for everybody and build more homes for everybody. Somebody in the world has already solved this problem. It's all about enacting it here on Guam. And Joe and I are very very anxious and very excited to help build that for people. Thank you.
And you know, we need to remind ourselves, you know, Guam Housing has a program where they can lend money out. I mean, this administration for the past 8 years has been giving out first-time homeowners grants out there. We can continue doing that, but we need to find a way, and I understand in the market, yeah, that, you know, the rental is high, why, and they blame it all on the military. Come on now, that's just the way the market is running. But we need to find a way. We got Chamorro Land Trust. Let's build more homes for the people of Guam, and let's get moving on this. There's a lot of federal money involved.
Thank you, Senator. Center stage now to the Tenorio and Barnes team on the topic of housing.
Well, some of the ways that I've been pushing, working across the aisle, two big legislation that I shepherded for the governor to sign were the additional dwelling units legislation and the new method for dealing with wastewater. I think a third one that I would like to see is, I think as long as wastewater can be supported, we should not have to go back to Guam Land Use Commission for residential housing up to 4 units. I think that we need to be able to empower local families to get those additional, be able to have multi-family dwellings so that they can build wealth, but they can also get starter homes for the kids or take care of mom and dad, right? We're as islanders, we care about all of our families. And my running mate has been at the forefront of activating the low-income tax credit, making sure that we had funds to give the first-time homeowners grant, and she's been at the forefront of this.
We know that we have programs for the indigent community already, and those who are well off can fend for themselves. What we need to do is work for the missing middle. We talk about the low-income tax credits to build more affordable housing, and we also talk about the first-time homeowners program to give about $10,000 for those who need help in closing costs. And that's the kind of program that we need to advocate for our missing middle families.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Perez, Senator Terlahi, 90 seconds to you, please.
Yeah, so we are sitting on this $500 million CDB GDR grant, which runs out in 6 years, maybe 5 years now. So when you ask about what's going to happen in 4 years, we need to leverage this funding. The other thing, the Congress just passed a really important bill to bring affordable housing. We need to tap into that. You know, the other idea is mixed income. So the idea is that we can create sustainable housing communities when we can combine income levels where you have people that can pay for market rent and they can subsidize the maintenance of that structure. So we need to take a hold of that. One of the experts say is that we cannot build ourselves out of a crisis, because if those housing is going to go to higher paying customers, then that's going to leave us out of it. And so we have to make sure that we carve out the housing for affordability. The missing middle also is really critical we need to address, and then the mixed income strategy is going to help with that. And of course, if you can lower the cost of construction, whether you already have the land through the Chamorro Land Trust, that's going to lower as well as building costs. So repurposing structures that are already underutilized. This is part of that congressional bill that was just passed. And so we can lower the cost of infrastructure if we can repurpose what's already there and lower the cost of building.
Yes, I just wanted to add that the CLTC is one of our biggest potentials for housing, and especially if we can bring in the sewer and the infrastructure so that they can put more houses on the land that they do have.
Thank you, Madam Senator.
Thank you. Our next question is from Joaquin Areola from the Guam Bar Association.
Buenas and Hafade, Diba Democrat. The Attorney General of Guam is the chief legal officer for the government of Guam. Our elected Attorney General is still considered an experiment by many in the legal community. If given a choice, would you support maintaining an elected Attorney General or having an elected public prosecutor and reverting to an appointed and confirmed Attorney General? Explain which model you believe best promotes accountability, independence, and effective law enforcement on Guam, and how your administration would work with an AG's office.
I think we should split it. So having an elected prosecutor, which is already in the Organic Act of Guam, it's authorized, is an effective method of doing that, and shifting the solicitors under the governor. You know, a lot of the legal assistance and the red tape that needs to be navigated and problem solving would be more efficient if the agencies had ready access to attorneys that are going to guide them in their decision making and the execution of their responsibilities. You know, when the elected AG happened, it was an act of the legislature. The people of Guam didn't have a chance to vote for that. And so I think that an act of the legislature can also be the solution for this. Senator?
The Attorney General of Guam should be the government's attorney. And I think that making sure that that representation is there for the administration and for all the different agencies. So I do agree with supporting an elected attorney prosecutor and the Attorney General to represent the government of Guam.
Yes, I am open to an elected prosecutor, as is outlined in the Organic Act. However, this elected attorney general position that we have has evolved. It evolved because of the frustration that the people of Guam had at the time with the appointed attorney generals. Is that my time? Thank you. Is that?
Okay, I think we had an early bell there. So Senator Perez, do you wish to add?
Just, yeah, so the appointed attorney general, we did have that. And the legislature back then chose to change that because I think of the frustration of the people, because we could not have a representation for the people. And this attorney general model is supposed to be so that we can prevent corruption in the agencies or prevent you know, the people not knowing what's going on in there by having that check and balance with an elected attorney general.
Okay,
and they are answerable to the people.
Thank you, Senator. Senator San Augustine and Senator San Nicolas, your thoughts?
Now, in reference to an elected prosecutor, I support that. And yes, put the Attorney General, be appointed by the governor. And you know what? Just recently, and if the folks would just watch the news on the budget, we've just recently identified that the current Attorney General's office has $5 million in lapse money. $5 million? We're having issues with a bunch of contracts? Half a day's fee? There's something missing here. And then what they did was they put in the budget that they'll make a status quo in their budget. You lapse 5, but we're going to make sure that you maintain your budget. Something missing here. We need to do the math. I support the elected prosecutor, and we just go back and put the Attorney General to start answering for all these contracts that are being held back.
It's always been my belief that the Attorney General is an executive function. It should have never been taken away from the governor's purview. But the reason why we got here in the first place was the mistrust of the executive branch. And I honestly feel that everybody needs to hear this, that's why you always have to have a good governor, you know, a benevolent governor, because you know if he's benevolent and he's good, you have a good Attorney General. You want somebody who's going to do the job and not be a hindrance to progress. And having that revert back to the executive branch is a wonderful thing. Thank you.
And gentlemen, thank you.
Our next question is from Phil Letty II from the Guam Chamber of Commerce.
Hafade, the Guam Chamber of Commerce has championed local business for 102 years on island and believe in a stronger future for Guam through results, not promises. How will you implement performance-based budgeting and hold agencies accountable for measurable results? Thank you.
All right, let's start with Senator Terlahi. Performance-based budgeting,
Sure.
Senator.
We just had a little exercise in that. Just a very tiny part of the government was required to be performance-based, and they're going to expand that next year. But I think the hardest part of doing this is really what is the performance standards that we are going to agree on? Like, for example, Parks and Rec, if you use them, what are their performance standards? Is it running programs? Is it going to be how many parks you clean? Do they maintain it on a daily basis, right? Or do they fix up the stadium, bring it back to life, right? Our baseball stadium. So there are just so many kind of options for these agencies. They have so many different mandates that I just think we have to prioritize, and it's an opportunity to prioritize what they're going to focus on in that fiscal year, and then to see whether they actually deliver results. So I do support it, but I just think it's difficult to narrow down what these agencies are going to be able to do in the fiscal year.
If I could just add that, across the board, the government has some issues with, the audits, the fiscal controls. And so I think that was one of the amendments I added to the budget bill, by the way, to ensure that all these agencies develop corrective actions and follow through with them. And that's something that we really need to do. The other thing is procurement. So we don't have enough procurement professionals in the government, and we need to ensure that that also is addressed. The other thing that I see is a deficiency in successional planning, personnel training, to make sure that there's enough personnel available. To Masi.
Thank you, Senator. Senator San Augustine, performance-based budgeting to you, sir.
On performance-based, for many of you probably don't know this, but in GovGuam, every agency prepares a performance-based document. I've seen it because I was at Revenue and Tax, and we prepared it. We measure how many cases we can pursue and so forth. What we need to do is try to educate, or make sure we educate our directors and deputy directors and the managing people of how to be able to actually put real performance-based measurements. And if you want to talk about the OPA, he talked about internal management programs. Well, you know what? When there's federal grants, there's do's and don'ts. That's a no-brainer. You don't do what you shouldn't do, and you do what you're supposed to do. And then you move forward. But on performance-based, it's set up already on the budget. They just need to educate everyone there so they understand what is performance-based. They fill it in. I've seen it done. They're just not exercising. They need to start doing that. And that should be a very simple task. In our administration, it will be a task that they will start performing. Otherwise, let's go back then to line-based budgeting. Then they'll understand that performance-based would have been their best way out of the business.
Well, it all boils down to leadership. I'm cautious about this type of thing, because let's say you have a bad leader that deals with foster children, and then you might penalize.
Sorry, that's
program.
your time, Senator.
Thank you.
Thank you. LT,
Yeah,
please.
I think the issue is, we have a lot of mandates. The legislature passes so much legislation that it's very hard sometimes to even understand from the agency's perspective which mandates are more important than others. Performance-based budgeting is an opportunity for the legislature to fund the priorities, since they do hold the purse strings of the government. It takes considerable amount of training. The performance-based budget mandate has been in the books for a long time, and quite frankly, it's been on the federal agenda too, and up to now, federal government hasn't embraced it. So it is an excellent, I guess, I don't want to say it's an aspiration. For sure, it will have a benefit, but getting there, I think, in this environment where agencies have countless unfunded mandates has been the big problem. Now that we've been able to stabilize finances and push resources into public services, we're actually closer to realizing performance-based budgeting than we ever were. Part of that is because we had a good partnership with my friend here, Joe San Augustine. The Democrats are the ones that lifted the government out of debt, and we are the ones collectively that are going to be able to manage the government better than the other party.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
And our final question for this round, from the Guam Medical Association, Pram Sullivan.
Good evening. On behalf of Guam Medical Association, we thank KUAM for allowing the biggest community medical organization on island to ask these questions. Thank you. Patients across Guam are struggling to get access to care due to the lack of health care providers. As a senator, you had an opportunity to vote on the bill which would allow internationally trained physicians to practice on Guam. However, Senator Trelahi and Senator Perez, you both voted only allowed internationally trained physicians to practice under supervision within Government of Guam facilities, such as GMH and public health. The rules have not been established, but one can argue that this internationally trained physician really will never be able to practice outside the community to help patients. Why did you vote no and ignore the call by the private sector of medical providers to allow internationally trained physicians to practice outside of Guam, Government of Guam facilities? The other senator may also answer their view on these internationally trained physicians. There was an amendment to the internationally trained physician to which many community providers supported, and this is allow internationally trained physician to practice under supervision outside the community, as this would help the entire island have access to medical care. There are more board-certified physicians in the community, and including Guam Regional Medical City, which some are professors of medical school that could even better provide supervision for the internationally trained physicians.
What's the question?
What is your main question?
Pardon? Yeah, so please, Senator Trelahi and Perez, you again both voted no to allow the people of Guam to have better access to internationally trained physicians. Why? The other senator who voted yes can explain their answer also.
Okay, we're going to get to the senators on the right side in just a moment, but Senator San Augustine and Senator San Nicolas, your thoughts on internationally trained physicians on Guam. 90 seconds, please, gentlemen.
I'm just going to keep it very simple. Over 40 years ago, my father was trying to get a doctor to check his heart, and there was no doctor in Guam. And the problem was that the doctor that was coming from a foreign country couldn't get a license on Guam. So my father ended up going to the mainland, and the doctor that saw him was the doctor that he was trying to see on Guam. You know, it's amazing, huh? But back then, the market was, you know, it's kind of like it's a closed community, so let's not get anybody else involved because it disrupts the income or whatever. But, you know, I do support, number one, bring in doctors, let them be vetted, let them be cleared, make sure they're okay, it's safe for the people of Guam, for to be seen by them, and let it be both, public, private. Let's keep it open because the people of Guam deserve the best care that they can get from any doctor that's out there. Because let's face it, you can go to foreign countries and you're going to find a doctor that can take care of your heart faster than the doctors anywhere else. Dwayne, I'll let you carry that on.
Okay, yes, thank you. You know, one of the things when I was going through my master's is to do no harm. And to have more physicians at our disposal, at our reach, is a wonderful thing and should have never been a hindrance from the very beginning. We need to make sure that we support our communities in that way where we're bringing in qualified and find a way also to make it affordable. Thank you, ma'am, for that question.
All right, thank you. Madam Senator.
I support international specialties to help with Guam. We've passed legislation already to work with our government of Guam as a blueprint before we expand. So let's give that opportunity first and then continue to work. But if the specialties from the international arena were able to work with us, I support public-private partnership anytime. And we got to continue to build on that and even bring international education for the medical professions to be here on our island of Guam.
We met with executives from the American Medical Association. So we're seeing this throughout the United States now, where different states are doing different things. Some are a bit more risk averse than others. I guess we're one of those. But the reality is that we have thousands of patients that go to the Philippines, Taiwan, Japan, Korea. And I tell you, there isn't a requirement for your health insurance to cover doctors that are only American board certified, right? So I think this is one of those things where we use our leadership, we take the steps, and we look at but the goal, I think, will be the same. The goal will be to broaden the opportunities for us to recruit medical providers on Guam and hopefully for them to move to Guam and to stay. Thank you.
All right. Senators, your thoughts on
Yes.
Pram's question?
I appreciate your question. I think it's phrased a little bit upside down, though, because yes, there were some restrictions and parameters put on this new authorization that we actually authorized, but that authorization, the base of it was getting a lot of resistance, and Senator Perez and I supported Senator Telo Taitagui in implementing that law to actually allow for the very first time that we can have these international practitioners and a pathway for them. Part of that pathway is going to be through the public facilities, including our hospitals and our public health system, because that is our great need. And it's really, if I recall correctly, that was a recommendation made by the visiting Board of Medical Examiners, or their consultant that this Guam Board of Medical Examiners had worked with in bringing this policy to Guam. And so this is something that for the very first time we are implementing. And if it goes well and we can expand, then I think that everyone's still open to that.
Yeah, if I can explain my vote, it's basically a phased approach. So we wanted to make sure that it works in public facilities and ensure that the workers are protected, because that's some of the concerns, is that when they're brought to a foreign country, they may be mistreated. And so we want to make sure that it works first in the public sector, and we can possibly expand it to the private sector.
All right, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, very well put responses to those questions, and thank you to the special interest groups for joining us. Please stay tuned, everybody. Nevaeh has more special interest groups on tap when we come back right after this.
I remember when families on Guam waited a year, sometimes much longer, for tax refunds they earned. Our people had to beg for money that was rightfully theirs. It was a system that wasn't working for you. So we fixed it. Today, tax refunds are paid in record time, in weeks and months, not years. That's refunds to buy groceries, pay bills, and rent with money that you earned. And that proves something bigger. When we get government finances right, our people feel it, and jobs follow. Progress like this doesn't happen by accident. It takes leadership, it takes discipline, and Guam can't afford to go backward. I'm Josh Tenorio, and together with Tina Munya Barnes, we will keep Guam moving forward, because government delivers results when leaders do the job right. I'm Josh Tenorio.
And I'm Tina, and we approve this message.
When families feel safe, communities grow stronger. Senator Chris Duenas passed the Malig Act to put more officers on our streets and confront the meth crisis hurting too many of our people. He led efforts to expand affordable housing through the additional dwelling unit and advanced nitrate bills. And now he is authoring his second balanced budget that protect essential services while supporting private sector jobs. Steady leadership, real results. Re-elect Chris Duenas. He's focused, balanced, and ready.
I'm Chris Duenas, and I approve this message.
Half a day, I'm Therese Terlahi.
And I'm Sabina Perez.
As your senators, you've seen us fight for lower fuel and utilities costs, lower real property taxes, for the Chamorro Land Trust and affordable housing, to stop meth from entering our island.
For your environment, to remove abandoned vehicles and illegal dumping, for fairness in procurement, and for resources of the government to benefit all the people of Guam.
We've been fighting for you, and that's why we're running for governor
And Lieutenant Governor.
Please vote Terlahi Perez.
A vote for us is a vote for Guam.
I am Therese Terlahi, and I approve this message.
For decades, Ralph Scambalori dedicated his life to protecting Guam. As chief of Guam Customs and Quarantine Agency, he helped stop illegal drugs before they reached our streets and our families. Today, Guam faces one of the greatest drug crises in history. That's why Ralphie is stepping forward once again to serve as your senator, bringing the experience, integrity, and commitment to keep our communities safe.
Today, I'm Rafael Scambalori, but please call me Ralphie. I respectfully ask for your vote, and I approve this message. Viva Guam.
Putting a face on a billboard is an easy thing to do. Winning a case in court is the hard part. Right now, Guam is paying the price for a show over substance approach. We're moving that focus from the billboards back to the courtroom. We are not going to continue to waste money on these billboards and off-island litigation that doesn't affect you. We want to hire talent that stays on Guam and is dedicated to Guam. I'm Tom Fisher, and I approve this message.
I believe in these guys because they care.
Viva Argentina! Viva Democrat!
We are here because we believe in the leadership.
Let's make sure that we move forward, and let's make sure that on August 1st, our team, Josh and Tina, win this election. Sejurus Masi.
We are here because we believe in the service.
I did people Guam humbly ask for support for Senator Muna Barnes in this upcoming election.
And we are here because we believe that Josh Tenorio and Tina Muñoz Barnes is our team to lead Guam.
Let's go Guam! Viva Josh and Tina!
I'm Josh Tenorio.
And I'm Tina, and we approve this message.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our second Gubernatorial Forum. We are, of course, featuring the 3 Democrat teams that want to represent all of us in Adelup as our governor and lieutenant governor. Nevaeh Anderson is standing by on the floor once more with another community special interest group.
Thanks, Jace. Our next community question comes from the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce from Amanda Alec. Hi, Hafaday, thank you. So tax incentives were mentioned as part of an economic initiative. How will your administration ensure that these incentives are not designed to solely benefit outside investors and big businesses? Additionally, how will such initiatives provide substantial support and operational relief for local small businesses, particularly women-owned business that are already driving Guam's economy and creating jobs?
All right, now let's start with stage right, where Senator Terlahi and Senator Perez. 90 seconds on the topic of the impact of tax incentives.
All right. Yes, that's a great question. Thank you. And I agree that the very many women-owned businesses are really holding up our economy and doing very, very well. The tax incentives, I think we need to restructure them, perhaps, so that we are not attracting a certain business, but attracting a certain outcome, a certain performance, a certain industry, and then let everyone kind of compete to be the one to get tax incentives if we can't give it to everyone, right, in that industry. And but really to make it be based on outcomes and not necessarily just we want this one particular company, right? And we must continue to do all we can with our current business structure, our 90% tax on all the businesses on Guam, the small businesses, and to keep the taxes down in the liquid fuels tax, the gas at the pumps, and the real property taxes, so that our businesses can flourish, and also to make sure that we help our businesses by ensuring that we have a reliable transportation system for our workforce, childcare, and just these reliable systems that the government can provide to shore up the businesses in Guam in general. Permitting is one of the best examples.
Thank you, Senator. All right, gentlemen, on the topic of tax incentives, if elected, what will your administration and how will you use tax incentives?
Well, let me start out with number one. My slogan I've said to many businesses, we got to keep business in business because that's what drives the economy. Let's start with that. And at all the other forums, I've always identified, and even this earlier today, we were at the forum for the tourism. We want the different chambers or groups that are out there to participate, be a partner in developing the incentives that we need for Guam to promote our small business, our women in business, because the women, you guys are in charge. Trust me, I have a wife. She retired twice, and whenever she says, let's go do this, I evaluate what she's talking about. I said, you know what, that's a good deal. Let's go do that. And you know what? I have to admit, you women have ways of doing things that I respect because you're very creative. And I like that because in our administration, you will be a partner on the table saying, we need to do these incentives. We need to go to get Rugita and change that setup and make it work for the people of Guam.
You know, whenever the government reduces BPT, I felt it, you know, I'm a businessman. And one of the things was when they reduced it 0.5%, I was able to hire one more person, you know, and that's very critical. I understand the plight. Everything's on the table, tax holidays, incubation tax periods for new businesses. Those are things that Joe and I are very interested in and bring to the table. Thank you.
All right, LT, how will tax incentives be used in your administration?
Well, I think we can consult with you to figure out what is going to be more effective. You know, we have a very different business environment right now where we have opportunities perhaps to incentivize the big businesses to do business with the local business. Local businesses have some edges. They're able to mobilize here faster. And sometimes it's going to also be making sure that they have assets. So when it comes to maybe getting preferential treatment for leases or for government contracting, those are all things I think that can be on the table. What I'd like to see is, you know, and what I've been observing, there's a whole bunch of small cottage industry businesses that I see developing all over. And I think one method is going to be to deregulate. You know, we have some environmental health rules that make it limiting for villages and the best empanada maker to sell their stuff a bit more liberally than they are right now. And so I think we can also take a look and see what the business regulations are that we can get rid of. We're very risk averse on this island. And we also are famous for putting in rules and regulations that get outdated and it takes forever for you to change them. And I think empowering you to, and other people like you to kind of give us a good roadmap would be much more efficient than some of the other stuff we've seen. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next question is from Ms. Tanya Eubanks from Got Your 671.
Hafide, good evening, and thank you for this opportunity. So many veterans don't only want to be thanked for their service. They want to know that they're still valued after they take off the uniform. While many veteran benefits are provided by the federal government, there is still an important role for the government of Guam in helping bridge the gaps. How will your administration ensure that Guam's veterans are not only honored, but meaningfully supported? What specific commitments will your administration make to expand access to mental health services, strengthen peer support and community-based veteran programs, and ensure that veterans and their families have the resources they need to live healthy, connected, and supported lives? So ultimately, how will you ensure that no veteran on Guam feels forgotten, alone, or left behind from this government that serves them?
Very good question. Gentlemen, you have 90 seconds.
I attended a funeral of a veteran, and it was the mortuary or the funeral manager that presented the flag, and there were several veterans in attendance, and we spoke after that. We said, "How come nobody called us to attention? You know, why is the funeral manager giving the flag? You know, it could have been one of us." And Joe and I understand this because we're both veterans, and we do understand honor and sacrifice and duty, and we're going to bring that to and not leave anybody behind in that regard.
You know, when we're talking about veterans, number one, and we want to talk about when they're being recognized, when they're being buried, the National Guard had a program set up. I'm going to assume now it still exists, that they're supposed to, every time a veteran's identified, an Army veteran is identified, or any other branch, all the different branches are being informed on Guam, the Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, and they're being recognized. And when we want to talk about their health care and getting help, we need to make sure we support building a veterans hospital or clinic outside the gate, because I tell you what, that's a monster to have to struggle to get in the gate. We need to find a way to get that done, and we'll get the veterans to be part of this administration to get involved. We're both veterans, and we support the veterans.
Thank you, Senator. How about the Tenorio Barnes administration on the topic of support for vets?
I want to say that I'm really biased on this question because I have 3 generations of military service in my family. But my belief is that we need to be at the same table and we need a relationship of mutual respect and shared ideas. And as being a part with my Republican colleague, Senator Bora of the U.S. Veterans Association, we've shared a lot of the veteran concerns that are happening here on Guam, from building that hospital outside to a lot of the services that can have public-private partnerships as it relates to services, but we need to work together.
Building a clinic connected to this new hospital is one way we could recognize them, because we would be able to front load that cost, knowing that the U.S. Veterans Affairs is not going to be able to expand their clinic on up there at Navy Hospital. And so that's one area. Veterans also have an issue of self-identifying. I helped establish the Veterans Treatment Court when I was the administrator at the judiciary. I noticed that even when veterans were getting into trouble, they didn't want to self-identify because there had been a period of alienation. They felt let down. And I think that when we approach veterans and design programs, consulting and incorporating them into making the decisions is the way to go. And I think that appreciate your service and all the work that you're doing, along with a lot of nonprofits on this island. Sijus Masi.
All right, and senators, on the topic of support for vets so that truly no one is left behind.
So thank you, Tanya, for that question, and thanks to many of the nonprofits that help to bridge the gaps that government fails to fill. And I know, with West Care, for instance, they have a great program too in outreaching to many of our veterans. What we need to do in our government is we need to make sure that we are hiring the proper amount of VSRs, right? That's been one of the backlogs that we've experienced, and this is one of really the barriers to our veterans from really obtaining the health care that they need, and the mental health care as well. The other thing that we could do is we can advocate for more funding through our congressperson. So I think these are things, whatever the resources there are, we need to leverage them, and we also need to seek more funding.
Yes, and you're right that while the federal government provides many benefits, there are still things we need to do here, such as local transportation, local services, and this outreach, I think, is very important. So I'm glad that we have nonprofits assisting the community, because reaching them really has been an issue, because as they don't only not self-identify, yeah, they're kind of adverse sometimes, and I think we've been trying to be very creative to be able to count them accurately. So we've, by law, asked the mayors to, when they do their residential verifications, that they confirm veterans in their villages, and Department of Revenue and Taxation as well.
Thank you, Senator.
Our next question is from Lices Santos of the Micronesia Climate Change Alliance.
Climate change compounds existing challenges on Guam: more destructive and frequent storms, unchecked military expansion on indigenous land, and threats to our aquifer. With recent federal funding cuts in environmental protection and social welfare programs, how do you plan on integrating environmental justice and community-focused solutions in your policy decisions and budget priorities?
LT, you're up first.
Well, it begins with putting in robust local funding for Guam Environmental Protection Agency. The reality is federal leadership now with the Trump administration has eliminated these pathways, and any environmental justice funding has now been eliminated. Those were opportunities for us to go in and delve into some of the complicated problems that we have. Because of the high industrial use of Guam over the last 82 years, there are environmental challenges, and you have to have a mature relationship with the federal government and able to talk to them and hold a firm line. So, open pit burning, deep sea mining, even, recognizing that the programmatic agreement can still be improved are all things that we have to do. Whoever's elected governor and lieutenant governor, our big responsibility is to safeguard the land of Guam, especially the waters, because we're borrowing this from the future generations. And we are really must be able to push and enable so many programs that help us recover. This is why I've been leading sustainable development efforts. So I'm really looking at agriculture a lot and making sure that the younger people are involved. Right now, I have to say I'm impressed because this is the largest number of young people that are interested and are conscious of environmental stewardship and protection that we've ever had on the island.
Thank you, LT. Madam Senators.
Thank you for that question. This is something that I've been really focused in my terms as senator. I've passed over 40 laws. A large of that is environmental laws. And anything from overhauling the Safe Drinking Water Act to banning open burning. And I have also a current bill about conservation easement. And so this is really, in addition to stopping what is bad, we need to also encourage what is good. And so this conservation easement bill would encourage, hopefully, our landowners to take part in conservation of these really critical areas, whether it's heritage sites or it's our aquifer. And so we really need to encourage the positive behaviors with our laws. And this is something, as Lieutenant Governor, I really would follow through with many of these environmental policies that I'm very well versed in.
Yeah, there are also ways that we just have to hold people accountable for the damage that they have done, for the promises that they make and they are not complying with, and for the obligations that they have, for example, pursuant to the programmatic agreement. All of those have to be monitored and enforced. Make sure that mitigation, especially that is promised, is actually done. Because we have many instances recently, not just in the olden days, but recently of, adverse impacts promised to be mitigated, but not yet done. And so thank you for your work as well.
Thank you very much. Now, gentlemen, environmental stewardship on a public policy level, very, very important. Senator, 90 seconds to you, please.
I'm going to try to keep it simple, okay? Number one, there's somebody employed to check. If you're going to have a project inside the gate, there should have been somebody assigned to make sure whatever issues, maybe environmental, whatever the issue is, there should be someone monitoring that. In our administration, there will be somebody monitoring that. So we don't have to worry about the programmatic agreement and all that stuff. We should have been monitoring everything. And then we reach out to our delegate who says, whoever it is, you need to help us out because you can't expect us to be the only one monitoring. We need you to provide federal funding so that we can better monitor and hire more folks so we can make sure whatever doors need to be open or whatever we need to check, we're allowed to check.
I think we also have to remember we have to take a balanced approach to everything that we do, because on one hand we want economic prosperity, but we also have the land that we need to use to get there. One of my main concerns with the environment is the diluent in the water. Why don't we work together with the military as a measure of national security to secure that water and have a desalinization plant built on Guam for not only the military but for our residents, so that way we solve that diluent problem. Thank you.
We'll now move on to questions from our youth ambassadors, and our first youth ambassador is Cabrini Taitano. She is a recent graduate from Guam High School.
Hafa candidates, and thank you for the opportunity to represent Guam's youth in tonight's forum. There has been discussions about consolidating or closing public schools. If this were to happen, what steps would your administration take to ensure that increased campus populations do not compromise the quality of education or students' access to the resources and support they need to succeed?
Okay, and let's hear from the Terlahi Perez team first, please. Ladies, 90 seconds, please.
So my approach would be to encourage the use of those underutilized rooms and maybe partner with private entities who can then also provide curriculum and exposure to students to different careers. I think that would be my approach, since we've passed the law that allows for DOE to rent these spaces. The other thing we can do is lower the cost of government by utilizing these empty spaces. Instead of paying for rent, we can house government offices there. So again, we can expose students to careers within government. So I feel that there still needs to be options that need to be, alternatives that need to be looked at rather than closing down schools, and really it's really critical that we look at the, the communities that these schools have created. We see that many of these schools, they've developed a community where they are advocating for academic excellence. And, it's so difficult to recreate something like that. And so that's why my first priority would be to see if we can utilize these spaces.
Yes, I would be very hesitant to close the school if we cannot monitor the curriculum outcomes, the student-to-teacher ratios, right? We shouldn't negatively impact that. We should, those that are doing well in test scores, we should support them as opposed to threaten them with closure.
All right, Senators. Okay, can you repeat it one more time, Cabrini, please?
If this were, there has been discussions about consolidating or closing public schools. If this were to happen, what steps would your administration take to ensure that increased campus populations do not compromise the quality of education or students' access to the resources and support they need to succeed?
Number one, when the Department of Education starts talking about consolidating and closing schools, we need to start taking a look at why. Why are you closing? Why? Because you only have 300 students? Well, have you decentralized? Have you identified where the population should be going? Because it's quite obvious. It's a good example. Recently they closed down Brody Elementary School. And the Tamuning mayor, and I was pursuing it with then former Senator Talina Nelson, to convert that to a middle school. So where do the kids go? They go all the way to Jose Rios. Really? You got people going that far down? And right next door to Brody Elementary is JFK. I'm alumni. But Brody could have been a middle school, and then that would have been the feeder. So wherever the overcrowding is today in Dededu can start feeding that school. And then we worry about, like you mentioned, make sure that we don't cause a problem in education, right? Being on the board before, that was the biggest thing we pursued and we were monitoring. Unfortunately, we got an election coming up. There's new board members going to be elected. So let's hopefully they focus and they attend to the issues of the children. Thank you.
All right, LT, Senator, how do we keep education at a pristine level?
Well, I truly believe that we can repurpose those buildings. With the help of the Guam Women's Chamber, I worked with them on the intergenerational daycare centers where we had the Manhoban and the Manamco come together in a unique standard where we can continue the education, the cultural perspective, and just literally bringing the cultural education to our Manhoban. Those are programs that we can look at integrating into these buildings that are empty, these educational buildings that are empty, but we must stay positive. And I think with our administration, we will continue to make sure that we work even with leveraging public-private partnerships.
That's why we won't close schools. I'm against that. Churches and schools are the hearts and souls of the villages. And you close schools, people are not going to live in the village. And so we kind of create a downward spiral. We can't utilize my perfect situation. I have a mom that is going to get her GED in adult education in a classroom while her kid is finishing kindergarten, right? And I think that the schools can be used as resources for the community to get people to work, to provide comforts. And so what Senator Tina was talking about, having intergenerational daycare or day programming for some of those that are less fortunate or have developmental disabilities, those are how we can maximize and continue to make sure we demand very good quality education.
Thank you, LT.
Our next youth ambassador is Venetia Kim. She is a recent graduate from St. John's.
Hafa candidates, thank you for your time and opportunity here today. Speaking on the behalf of many young people heading off to college, our ultimate goal is to bring our education back home to serve our island. Given the current high cost of living, what specific policies or initiatives will your administration implement to create sustainable, well-paying career paths so returning local graduates can afford to build their lives here long-term? Thank you.
All right, 90 seconds over to Team Joe and Dwayne on making sure that we bring our best home to work.
You know, I don't like selling luggages in my store because they always tell me there's people leaving and it just breaks my heart that we have people leaving, the best of us leaving. I think having reduction in taxes and also collaborating with the businesses to try to lower the cost of living here. Joe and I have researched things to help in that regard, because it's very important to keep the people here. That way, when you come home, that you're able to service us with the abilities and the education that you have. And looking at reducing costs is a very important thing to me. And it's going to be one of the things that we're going to work on to make Guam more affordable for everybody, including our tourists.
You know, when we talk about some of our children, they go to the school at University of Guam, right? And then they go off island because they're like, there's no jobs here. Wait a minute. The biggest problem I've seen in GovGuam, they don't have a recruitment program. You know, in the military, when you're a sophomore, junior, you got a military person saying, hey, if you graduate, you got a job, you can enlist. We should be promoting that to our youth and to our young adults going to university. You got a job when you graduate. And that's how we can keep them here in Guam and start fulfilling the vacancies we have that exist today. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're already doing that here on Guam, working with the Guam Community College and the University of Guam. The professional student exchange programs that give scholarships to students in the medical disciplines, 10 to 14 different disciplines, giving them the money and the resources they need to get educated back there, but also having them to come home. That is what the Barada Act is all about. Barada means to return. Also working closely with the New York Institute and the University of Guam, who just initiated a MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding, where our own doctors can literally come home and intern here and then do their residency back where they need to do, but come back home to serve our community. And I'm so glad that Talon Ahmet and that organization has stepped up to the plate to make sure that we bring the expertise home.
For the last 2 years, I've been a co-investigator for a National Science Foundation project called Navigating Home with the University of Guam, which does that, identifies college students, college graduates, recruits them for technical positions in the government, knowing that to expand the economy, we're going to need all sorts of expertise. So I think you would see the same kind of stuff expanded in our Tenorio Muñoz Barnes administration. Thank you, and congratulations on your graduation.
All right, and then senators, how do we get students with advanced degrees, advanced experience, advanced skills to do advanced work here at home?
Yeah, that's a very good. Sorry, that's a very good question, and thank you for that question. You know, I think it's a multi-pronged approach, right? So we really need to lower the cost of living. Housing is a big issue for our youth, and we really need to focus on that. The other parts, of course, are transportation. If we can create a reliable mass transit system to help lower the cost of living, hopefully that would help. Of course, there's no, the need is huge here in Guam for many trained professionals. And, I've always believed that, we have to give back to our community. If that's enough for you to stay, I mean, I hope that is, but, I myself was part of that brain drain, to be honest. But I came back because I wanted to serve our island. And, I think, if you, for youth that are thinking about where to go in the world, Guam provides a unique, I think it's a higher level of training. And if you can survive here, you can survive anywhere, I think. And, I think it's a challenge, if you're up for the challenge. We are looking for innovators here to help solve our problems. And I truly believe that we come from a lineage of that. And, we welcome you. We welcome our youth to help add to that lineage of problem solving.
Yes, we continue to have a great need in the government, for sure. I'm sure in the private sector as well for professionals. So we do have pathways, and we have to expand those across all different industries.
Thank you, Senator. And thank you, Venetia. Thank you, Cabrini, and thank you for all of our industry partners across the island for those wonderful, wonderful questions and great responses, teams. All right, we will be back with much more from the second KUAM Gubernatorial Forum when we return.
Keeping our families safe requires more than talk. It takes action to get results. 7 years ago, bad finances put our families at risk. Officers were stretched thin and not being paid enough. Equipment was old or broken, and our communities felt it. My priorities were restoring order, fixing the budget, and paying our officers more. We led that work, and the results are real. We've kept more than 1,000 pounds of methamphetamine off of Guam streets. The street price of meth has nearly tripled, a clear sign that supply has been disrupted. And federal officials have credited our local work and partnerships for these gains. Talk doesn't keep our people safe, partnership does. Stable funding does. And as a community working together, we will deliver even better results for our families.
I'm Josh Tenorio.
And I'm Tina, and we approve this message.
When families feel safe, communities grow stronger. Senator Chris Duenas passed the Malik Act to put more officers on our streets and confront the meth crisis hurting too many of our people. He led efforts to expand affordable housing through the additional dwelling unit and advanced nitrate bills. And now he is authoring his second balanced budget that protect essential services while supporting private sector jobs. Steady leadership, real results. Re-elect Chris Duenas. He's focused, balanced, and ready.
I'm Chris Duenas, and I approve this message.
Hafaday, I'm Therese Terlahi.
And I'm Sabina Perez.
We believe that Guam should be a safe, flourishing island with a government that lowers the cost for everyday people, replaces corruption with fair economic opportunity, fights to stop meth, and shelters unhoused children.
Protects our water and investigates the source of contaminants. Our records show our integrity, honesty, and ability to listen and follow through.
We need your help to stand up for what is right. Vote Terlahi Perez.
A vote for us is a vote for Guam.
I am Therese Terlahi, and I approve this message.
Breathe the difference, stand up strong, fight for what's right all day long. When she leads, we all agree the future's bright with Berlin. Oh, 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 Berlin. Oh, 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 Berlin. Oh, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. She listens first before she speaks, lifts the strong and shields the weak. Service matters more than a check. Every promise earned with respect. She fights for you, not against. Built on values, built on sense. Changes and talk, it's what she brings. Real work, real hope, real thing. Breathe honest leadership. Believe it, leave it. Say breathe, breathe. Say change, change. New day rising. Real work, real hope, real thing.
I'm Sabrina Salas-Matznani, and I approve this message.
Leadership isn't measured by campaign promises. It's measured by a lifetime of keeping them. For years, Tony Atta has delivered results for the people of Guam. He authored Guam's Castle Doctrine, strengthening the rights of law-abiding citizens to protect themselves and their families. He passed laws protecting consumers, strengthened opportunities to bring more doctors and healthcare professionals to Guam, fought for small local businesses, and worked to make government serve the people, not the other way around. His record isn't built on speeches. It's built on action, on integrity, on keeping his word. That's what put Guam first means, putting our island first.
As your governor, I will lead with integrity, and every decision I make will put Guam first. I'm Tony Atta, and I humbly ask for your vote. I'm Tony Atta, and I approve this message.
Putting a face on a billboard's an easy thing to do. Winning a case in court is the hard part. Right now, Guam is paying the price for a show over substance approach. We're moving that focus from the billboards back to the courtroom. We are not going to continue to waste money on these billboards and off-island litigation that doesn't affect you. We want to hire talent that stays on Guam and is dedicated to Guam. I'm Tom Fisher, and I approve this message.
Housing costs are high everywhere. Rent is higher, home ownership feels farther away, and too many families are asking, can we afford to stay on Guam? But the dream is simple, a place of your own, a home where your children can grow up right here on Guam. Just years ago, Guam wasn't in a position to build. Guam's finances were on the brink, and so we stabilized. We restored fiscal credibility, and we secured the resources to act. Because of that work, hundreds of homes have been built. and hundreds more are on the way, including housing for working and middle-income families. For young families starting out, housing is about building safe communities and supporting families right here at home. Together, we're building a better Guam for everyone to grow and thrive.
I'm Josh Tenorio.
And I'm Tina, and we approve this message.
Hafa Day, everybody, and happy Liberation Day and Biba Liberation once more. Now, while all three teams are still actively on the campaign trail, and we do appreciate all three teams giving us some of their time, especially for the sitting senators who were working on the budget today, for all of you who went to the GHRA's forum today, and to come here and participate in our forum. It's been a true honor to interact with you and with our special interest groups. We'd like to give them all some time for their parting shots about why they deserve your vote when you head to the polls on August 1st. Each of them has 90 seconds, and leading off, we are going to start with Senator Therese Terlahi and Senator Sabina Perez.
Hafa Day, everyone, and I just want to thank everyone for listening in to this forum. And I just want to say that Senator Therese Terlahi and myself, you know our records. We work very hard, and we accomplished what we set out to do. And when people asked us to run, we heard the message that we need a reset in government. And you know us that we fight for what is right. We fight against special interest, and we're going to fight for your interest so that everyone here can thrive here on Guam.
Yeah, we ask that you look at each of us, the candidates, and you make the choice of how Guam is going to go forward. You make the choice of who you're going to rely on, who's going to tell you the truth, who's going to focus on your quality of life, who's going to bring the resources of the executive branch to help you and your families and to ensure that we have a prosperous Guam for our students and children to remain on Guam and come back to Guam. This election is a defining moment for Guam, and the power to shape our future is in your hands. And we ask you to join us and to help us to save our island together. And we humbly ask for your vote in this primary election. Please vote, and vote for Guam. Vote Terlahi Perez, number 1 on the Democrat ballot. Sizuz Masi.
Thank you, Senators, and very well done. And now, with their parting shots, 90 seconds to Senator Joe San Agustin and former Senator Dwayne St. Nicholas.
I'm going to stand up for this.
Absolutely, sir.
You know, it's a great honor to be here and stand here before you. I never thought in a million years that I'd ever stand here before you and doing what I'm doing, but I'm here because of you. And I'm so thankful that Joe has invited me to run with him. It's always been my thing to make people happy. It's always been my thing to see people, to lift them up and see them thrive. Joe and I want to give you a government that you can trust, that's full of hope, and I'm very honored to be here. We're gonna give you a government that you'll be proud of. Joe and I see obstacles and challenges as opportunities. And you've seen it by my work, what I've done in the private sector. And when I left the legislature, I said, I don't know what the Lord would bring for me, and maybe I have a rendezvous with destiny. But here I am, and it's only because of you. And so I'm thankful, and I want to let you know that Joe and I are here for you. We're going to give you honest, good, transparent leadership. Thank you.
See, and Dwayne now got me to stand now with him. But you know what? For the people of Guam, you want change? You want accountability? You want transparency? This is the team to vote. We're number 3 on the ballot. But you know what, people of Guam? It's about you. It's about the people of Guam. It's not about Dwayne or me. No, it's about the people of Guam. We're here to help the people of Guam. That's our only focus. That's all we're after, is to make sure people of Guam continues to prosper. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. And now, with their 90 seconds, Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio and Senator Tina Rose Munia-Barnes.
82 years ago, our people came together to turn this war-ravaged island into one of the best places to live in the entire world. I'm confident in our people. Let's Go Guam is the expression of that confidence, that we are going to overcome any challenge because we have so many more opportunities before us. I'm for Guam because I believe in the youth. And I really believe that the best days are ahead. And the best days are ahead. We're going to lead you with honesty, integrity, and trust. And I guarantee you that every day that we work hard, that we wake up, we will do our best and work the hardest for you. Please vote for Tenorio Muñoz Barnes, number 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, my partner is calm under pressure, clear in a crisis, and focused on the people who need us the most. That's leadership, not noise, not excuses, but discipline, cooperation, and results. So we ask you you have a powerful gift, and that gift is your gift of vote. We humbly ask you to please share your vote for Tenorio Muñoz Barnes, number 2 on the ballot. Let's go, Guam.
And vote Democrat.
Viva Democrat.
Ladies and gentlemen, best of luck to all of you on the campaign trail and as we head closer. You know, ladies and gentlemen, you have had the stage for the last 2 hours and everything. If you would, please stand one more time. Ladies and gentlemen, your Democrat gubernatorial teams. Dwayne San Nicolas, Joe San Augustine, Joshua Tenorio, Tina Rose Muñoz Barnes, Sabina Perez, and Therese Terlahi. Thank you so much for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Happy Liberation Day. We have come to you from the Encore Theater here at the Crown Resort on Tumon Bay. Thank you so much. Please be safe. Happy Liberation Day, everybody. For all of us at KUAM, I'm Jason Salas. Thank you so much for watching. Adios.